Okay, let's unpack this. I have to admit, when you first sent over the folder for today's deep dive, I thought you'd made a mistake.
Huh? A mistake how?
I honestly thought you'd accidentally merged like 3 different folders into one.
It does look a bit disjointed at first glance, doesn't it?
Disjointed is putting it mildly. I mean, usually we look at a specific lane, a historical event, new tech, a medical breakthrough.
Right.
But this is a mess. We've got these dense technical manuals for enterprise cloud computing.
Yeah, startup stuff.
Exactly. Then, right next to that, heavy-duty military strategy documents from the Department of Defense. And then, just to make it really weird, medical journals talking about human biology and wireless body sensor networks.
It certainly feels like those things shouldn't exist in the same universe, let alone the same conversation.
Exactly.
But that is precisely why this deep dive is so critical. We aren't looking at 3 separate topics. We're looking at one single converging system.
And that is the hook that kept me up reading last night. The central premise here, and this is driven largely by the primary source, Sabrina Wallace from the Synergy channel, is that these aren't separate silos. She's arguing that the exact same software code used to run, say, a stock trading app, is being used by the military to orchestrate warfare and potentially to orchestrate us.
It sounds like the plot of a cyberpunk novel, I know.
Yeah.
But when you strip away that sci-fi feeling and just look at the actual documentation, the specs for the DOIDs, Enterprise DevSecOps, the Kubernetes manuals, the Platform One architecture.
Be sure to see the picture.
You really do.
DevSecOps, that is a mouthful. We are going to have to break that down.
We will. But the mission for this deep dive is to decode this massive stack. We need to understand how we get from a server farm in California to a concept called network-centric warfare.
And more importantly, how that warfare concept ends up involving your own biological data. So the big question we're trying to answer for you listening is, how does the software that scales a viral video app relate to wireless drugging and the Internet of Everything? Because according to these sources, the connection is tight.
It's terrifyingly tight. And to understand the biology or the warfare, we have to start with the boring part.
The toad.
We have to start with the code. We have to talk about the conductor.
Right. Segment 1, the conductor. So the star of the show here is a piece of software called Kubernetes. I see this word everywhere, usually abbreviated K8s.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I've never really understood what it does. I know it runs the cloud, but explain it to me like I'm 5. Why do we need it? Can't servers just run programs on their own?
Well, they can. If you only have one server and one program, that's easy. But imagine you're Google.
Okay.
You don't have one program. You have millions. You have Gmail, Maps, YouTube, Search, all running at the same time, serving billions of users.
Okay.
And you have hundreds of thousands of servers.
So it's a logistics nightmare.
It's total chaos. You have software crashing, servers overheating, traffic spikes. You can't manage that manually. You need a brain. You need an automated system to decide where to put the software, when to start it, and when to stop it.
That is Kubernetes.
It is Kubernetes.
Okay, a little history lesson from the notes here. This actually started inside Google, right?
It did. Back in 2003 and 2004, Google built a secret system called Borg to manage their massive data centers. For a decade, it was their secret weapon.
And then they just gave it away.
Then in 2014, they decided to open source a version of it, which they named Kubernetes.
Which is Greek for helmsman or pilot, right?
Correct.
And just a quick side note, because I love this nerd trivia, the 8 in K8s, it just stands for the 8 letters between the K and the S.
Engineers love their abbreviations. But to really grasp the power of this, we need to understand the container. The source material uses an orchestra analogy, but I think to understand the military side later, let's look at the shipping container analogy first.
Okay, walk me through that.
Before containers, moving software was a nightmare. A developer would write code on their laptop and it would work perfectly.
Right.
But then they'd send it to a server and it would crash.
Yeah.
Because the server had a slightly different version of Windows, or a different library, or a setting was off.
The classic, it works on my machine excuse.
Exactly. So the industry invented the Docker container. Think of it like a literal shipping container. You put the code, the libraries, the settings, everything the software needs to live inside this box. You seal it up.
Now it runs anywhere.
Now that box runs exactly the same way on my laptop, on a massive server in Virginia, or, and this is key, on a drone flying over the Pacific.
Okay, that clicks. The container is the musician. It knows how to play its instrument perfectly because it brought its own chair and music stand.
Right. But now you have 10,000 musicians. Who tells them when to play? Who tells them to get louder?
That's Kubernetes, the conductor.
That is Kubernetes. Let's look at the real-world example from the source, the Robinhood trading app. Imagine, it's 9:00 a.m., the market's open. Suddenly, millions of people log in to buy some hot stock.
So the traffic just goes vertical.
If you were managing this manually, the app would crash. But Kubernetes sees the spike. It automatically scales horizontally. It instantly spins up more containers, more copies of the software to handle the load.
It adds more musicians to the section because the music needs to get louder.
Precisely. And here's the part that borders on magic. It's self-healing. If a container crashes, if a musician passes out mid-song, Kubernetes detects it instantly, kills it, and replaces it with a fresh one. The user never knows.
That is incredibly efficient. So just to lock in the vocabulary before we move on, a pod is what?
A pod is just a group of containers working together. Think of it like a pod of whales.
And a node.
The node is the worker machine, the hardware, the server, or the laptop where the pods live.
And the control plane.
That's the brain, the mothership. It's the part of Kubernetes that makes all the decisions. It exposes the API. It tells the nodes what to do. Keep that term in your head, the control plane. Because when we get to the military and biological stuff, the idea of a single control plane becomes very, very significant.
Okay, I've got it. We have the conductor, Kubernetes, managing the musicians, the containers, cross the stage, the cloud. It's efficient, it's self-healing, it runs the internet. But here is where the deep dive takes a sharp turn. The Department of Defense looked at this tech and said,
We want that.
We want that, but we want it for war.
And this brings us to segment 2. Platform 1. And this is where the language shifts from efficiency to lethality. The sources make it really clear that Kubernetes is now a battlefield requirement.
Hold on, battlefield requirement. That sounds like marketing speak. Why does a soldier in a trench or a pilot in a jet care about cloud software?
It all comes down to speed. Think about how the military used to work. If you needed to update the targeting software on an F-35 jet, it was this massive operation.
Right.
You're talking about proprietary systems, vendors, security checks. It could take months, sometimes years, to push a software update.
So if a new threat emerges or a vulnerability is found, the jet might be vulnerable for months while they wait for the patch CD to arrive.
Exactly. And in modern warfare, weeks is an eternity. Platform 1 is the DoD's answer to that. It's their unified software factory.
The British software factor.
The goal is to change that update loop from months to minutes. They want to be able to write code, secure it, and push it to a jet mid-flight, the same way Netflix pushes an update to your TV.
That is a massive shift in doctrine. But how do they do that securely? I mean, you can't just put nuclear codes on the open cloud.
That's where the Iron Bank comes in.
Which honestly sounds like something straight out of Game of Thrones.
It's a very evocative name, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Iron Bank is a repository of over 172 DoD-approved hardened containers.
Hardened containers.
These are pre-vetted software packages. They've been scanned, tested, locked down. So a developer doesn't have to build security from scratch. They go to the Iron Bank, withdraw a certified container, and they know it's safe to use.
The sources also talk a lot about Nutanix, specifically the Nutanix Kubernetes platform, or NKP. Why is this specific company highlighted? Is it just a vendor pitch?
I think it's more than that. Nutanix is highlighted because they solved the tactical edge problem.
The tactical edge, that means in the middle of a desert.
Exactly. Disconnected environments, low bandwidth, places where you don't have a stable internet connection. Most cloud software freaks out if it loses connection to the main server.
Right.
Nutanix NKP is designed to run that orchestra, even when the internet is cut off. It allows a tank or a ship to be its own self-contained cloud.
And we have to mention the security level here, IL6. Impact level 6.
This is the serious stuff. IL6 refers to the Secret Internet Protocol Router Network, or SIPRNet.
So not the regular internet.
This isn't just confidential. This requires dedicated cloud infrastructure, physical separation air gap systems, and strict citizenship requirements for anyone working on it.
Okay, so I'm tracking with you. We have the conductor, Kubernetes. We have the military infrastructure, Platform 1 and IL6, to run it securely in war zones. It makes the military faster, more agile. I get that. But looking at this next document, I feel like we just stepped into a different genre of movie. We're jumping from fighter jets to medical journals.
It feels like a left turn, but if you follow the technology, it's actually a straight line.
Really?
This is segment 3, the biological convergence.
But come on, how do you get from software on a jet to human biology?
You have to look at the progression of the internet. First, it was the Internet of Computers, desktops, servers. Then about 10 years ago, we got the Internet of Things, IoT.
Right. Your fridge, your doorbell, your smartwatch, everything got a chip in it.
But the sources, specifically Sabrina Wallace,
Yeah.
are arguing that we have already moved past IoT. We are in the era of the Internet of Everything, and everything includes biological systems.
Okay.
The concept is Healthcare 4.0 or Medical Body Area Networks, MBA.
Okay, break that down.
The argument is that the human body is essentially a machine that emits data. Your heart rate, your blood pressure, the electrical impulses in your brain, these are all signals.
Okay.
If you can capture those signals, they become data. And once they are data...
They can be fed into the software.
Exactly. The source material uses a very provocative phrase. Human biology has been stolen and hooked to the cloud. They're saying that your biosignals are being treated just like data feature values in a Kubernetes cluster.
So if we go back to our analogy, the body is a node.
The body is a node, and your organs, your heart, your lungs, are the containers generating the data.
That is creepy. But it's still just monitoring, right? It's just reading the data.
That is where the source material drops the bomb.
Oh, no.
It's not just about reading, it's about writing.
Okay, wait, pause for a second. You're telling me that a piece of software, essentially a Kubernetes container, can push data back into the human body? That sounds like pure science fiction.
I would have agreed with you completely. But look at the source text. It's from Nature Reviews Electrical Engineering, and it's dated March 2025.
I'm looking at it. Wireless drugging. I honestly thought that was a typo when I first saw it.
It's not a typo. The paper discusses wirelessly controlled drug delivery systems.
How is that even possible? You can't just email a drug into someone's blood.
It's not magic. It's physics. The paper explains that you can introduce substances into the body, nanoparticles, or specialized implants that are inert.
So they do nothing.
They do nothing until they receive a specific signal.
What kind of signal?
Exogenous stimuli, things coming from outside the body. Acoustic waves, electric fields, magnetic fields.
So a sound wave or a magnetic pulse could trigger these things to release a chemical inside your body.
Correct. The source connects this to intra-body communication, using the central nervous system essentially as a backbone wire for these signals.
This is hard to process, so let's try to synthesize this.
Yeah.
You have Kubernetes, the conductor. It's running on Platform 1, the military secure cloud, and it's connecting to a medical body area network.
Right.
So theoretically, you could have a single control plane where a general or an AI could sit at a dashboard and see the status of a fighter jet, the fuel levels of a tank, and the heart rate of a soldier.
And if the wireless drugging technology is active, potentially trigger a biological response in that soldier.
Yes.
Or in a target.
That is the ultimate realization of network-centric warfare. It's remote control for biology.
And it completely changes the definition of what a battlefield is.
Right.
Which leads us to the fourth segment of our dive, the invisible war.
Right.
Because if you can control networks and signals like this, do you really need to blow things up in the traditional sense?
The sources bring up a really recent case study, Venezuela, specifically the event on January 3rd. And the analysis here is fascinating because of the specific language used. They say the air defenses weren't destroyed, they're deleted.
Deleted. It's a software term. It implies an electronic warfare event. The source suggests that the air defense systems were neutralized not by a missile strike, but by manipulating the software and the signals that run them.
This Venezuela example is haunting. You have a physical air defense system, radars, massive hardware, missiles, but none of it mattered.
Because the hardware is controlled by the software. If you can access the control plane, that mothership we talked about, you don't need to blow up the radar. You just tell the Kubernetes cluster managing that radar that there are no targets.
You delete the concept of the threat.
You delete the reality of the airspace. And the source argues that this deletion capability is now being applied to human perception as well.
This ties into the AI aspect. The source mentions Genai.mil.
Yes, the Pentagon's AI initiative. The documents describe connecting commercial models from Google, OpenAI, you name it, directly into military networks.
So the same AI that writes my email drafts is helping run military targeting.
In a sense, yes. The source discusses how AI and machine learning are used for human activity recognition. Things like radar breathing monitoring, detecting a person's presence and state just by how they breathe, through walls, using radar.
And it's not just physical targeting, it's narrative warfare. The Dre dossier component of the source talks about this.
This is the psychological side, the use of AI-generated news anchors. They mentioned a platform called Synthesia.
Okay.
The goal here is to just flood the zone with content that looks real, but is entirely synthetic.
So you delete the air defense system, so the radar sees nothing. Then you use AI news anchors to tell the population that nothing happened.
Exactly. You edit reality in real time. The goal is to make distinguishing between real and fake impossible. If you can't tell what's true, you just surrender psychologically.
There is one more group the source mentions in this context, and we have to address it because it's so controversial. The targeted individuals.
TIs.
The source takes a very specific stance on this, yeah. Usually, this community is dismissed. People hear, I'm being harassed by electronic weapons, and they immediately think mental illness.
Right. But the source claims that the community of people who have identified as targeted individuals were actually a test bed
A test bed for what?
for these weaponized bionetwork technologies. The argument is that the narrative of mental illness served as a convenient cover.
A cover.
If someone complains about hearing voices or feeling shocks, and you label them crazy, you can continue testing your intra-body communication and wireless drugging systems without anyone looking closer.
That is a dark, dark implication. It suggests that the symptoms they reported were actually the effects of this wireless body interface we discussed.
It suggests that targeted individuals were just the first nodes in a network that is now expanding to everyone.
So what does this all mean? We've gone from Google's data center management to military software factories to wireless drug delivery in the human body to the deletion of national defenses.
If we zoom out and look at the so what, it's about the frightening efficiency of convergence. We tend to think of these things in silos. Medicine is over here to heal us. The military is over here to protect us. Big tech is over there to entertain us.
But the source is saying they were all running on the same stack.
Precisely. We have moved from the Internet of Things to the Internet of Everything, and it is all managed by the same orchestration software. Kubernetes doesn't care if the container is a stock trading bot, a radar system on a ship, or a set of biosignals from a human heart.
It's just data.
It just orchestrates the data.
That is the key takeaway for me. This technology allows for a single control plane, one dashboard that can span from a secret military server all the way down to the biological signals inside a human body.
It dissolves the boundary between the digital and the biological. And that raises the most important question of all.
I think I know where you're going with this. The source leaves us with a really provocative thought on deleting reality.
Yes. If war is now about deleting software and manipulating biosignals, and if your body is just another node on the network, how do you know if your own thoughts and physical sensations are truly your own?
Or are they just another pod being orchestrated by the conductor?
It certainly makes you think twice about that smart wearable on your wrist, doesn't it?
It definitely does. I'm going to be looking at my fitness tracker very differently tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is a lot to process, and I have a feeling this is a topic we're going to be revisiting. As always, the sources are available if you want to fall down the rabbit hole yourself, but be warned, it's a deep one. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious.